Welcome back everyone to Data Science for Everyone. Today we're going to be extending our bar chart example with D3 with tooltips. So let's go on and get started. So as we did in the previous video, we had constructed this nice bar chart here where you can see that we have this nice interactivity and we're animating things. So let me maybe restart it and see. You can see here when we refresh the page, everything drops down, and then when we hover over these bars, they kind of puff up in size, and they also have this nice color change. Now, one thing that again would be really nice is that if we had some information to go with this. So for example, when we hover over this particular data set, we get the exact value. Okay, and so we're going to create up a nice tooltip. So whenever they hover, a little bubble is going to kind of pop up and give you some information about this particular bar. So a couple things that we're going to need to do with this. Okay, so first off is we need to go on, and we've created up this SVG before. And let me zoom in a bit for this. We also want to add in now a div, okay? And this is actually going to be our pop-up, okay, our tooltip. And we're going to give this, let's give it an ID here of tooltip. And then let's see, what else do we want? Let's give it a class of hidden, okay, because again, we don't want it to be visible all the time, okay? And so we're going to need to make sure that we have it be able to disappear. Then let's actually go on and maybe give it just a little bit of boilerplate. So let's give it a paragraph tag, give it a strong tag, and so this will kind of be like a little bit of a header. And let's just call this bar value, okay, for lack of anything better. You guys can always change this to be more informative with your data. And so then we also need in here a span class so that we can access this particular piece of information. We're going to set this ID to value as we're going to be inputting some value. And again, I'm just going to put in 100 here just as a kind of a place marker for it. You guys can put whatever value in there. You don't even really have to put a value, but I thought it's nice at least to kind of have that there. So, and we'll use this to interact with everything. Now, the next thing that we're going to want to do is to give some style. Now, a couple things that we could do, okay? We've been dealing with a lot of the style right now in the style template, but I'm more inclined right now, because we have starting to have a lot of CSS styling. Let's go on and create up a file called style.css, and let's move all of this styling over, because we're going to actually create up quite a bit more style in here. So let me delete that style header there, and then let's go on and fill out some of the styling that we're going to want as well. So let's grab, and this is going to be for the IDs that we just created. So we'll have the tooltip ID, and so a couple things that we're going to want it to do. We're going to give it a position, and instead of relative, we want it to be absolute. And then what else are we going to want? We want to have a width in there of, let's say, 200 pixels. That's not too big. Then let's give it a height here of auto. So then, for example, if whatever values we're putting in there, if there's a lot of values or a lot of information, so maybe if you have text coming input, it'll make it larger, but it'll never make it too wide. So then let's also add in a little bit of padding in here. And again, we want this, I'm going to make this just about as fancy as I can think about making it today. Because I want this really to pop, okay? Because again, we have this nice interactivity. So then we really want this to look good. So let's also add in then a background color, and let's give it either beige, or maybe let's do something a little bit more fancy. Let's do blanched almond, okay? Then let's also add in a couple things in here. So let's do WebKit here, dash border, dash radius. And what we want to do is, instead of this a really harsh a really harsh square box, we're going to round the edges a little bit and make it a little bit friendlier. Okay, because again, we're talking about maybe your boss is going to be using this, and you want them to kind of really feel good when they're looking at the data. So let's also do radius here as well of 10 px. What else are we going to want in here? We need also our border dash radius of 10 px. And again, some of these in here, okay, are just to make sure that everything works correctly in different browsers. So let's do WebKit. We want box shadow. We'll give it a little bit of shadowing underneath it, so it kind of looks like it's kind of popping off the page a little bit. And this one is going to be 4 by 4 by 10. And then let's pick out a black shadow, so 0, 0, 0, but then the alpha, we want it to be, again, it's a shadow, so it's going to be kind of see-through. Okay, and I'm going to copy this. I'm actually going to be using that a couple times here. So let me copy that. Let's add another line in here, again, for the same thing, but for the Mozilla. Let's do box, shadow, and then we'll, shadow, please. And then again here, box, shadow of that same RGB. And again, here you can kind of see the color. It's just going to be black, but again, its alpha is going to be 0.4. All right, so that gives us the tool tip itself, the box itself. Okay, now another thing that we have, if I go back over here and we look at the div tool, we also have this tooltip, this subclass in here of hidden. Okay, so we want something to happen whenever it's hidden. So let's do that as well. So do tool tip, tooltip.hidden. And what do we want in here? We want to change the display to none. Okay, so whenever we're going to toggle it hidden or not hidden, okay, it's just going to basically disappear. All right, it's not going to be anywhere there. Oh, and you know what? One more thing that we want here is pointer events is none up here. I forgot about this in the hidden section. Now the next thing that we want, if we go back over here again, inside of this div, whoops, what happened here? I accidentally, oh, it's because it folded. Okay, so we have also inside of here, we have these paragraphs, okay? Well, what we're going to want is we're going to want to change this paragraph span in here, okay, with the value of ID, or the ID of value. So let's go on and give it some CSS as well to make sure that this this number that's going to be in here is going to look correct when we have that. So that will be, again, tooltip P, okay, for the paragraph tag. And what do we want to do in here? Let's give it a margin of 0. Okay, let's give it a font family of sans serif, maybe. Right? Yeah, let's do sans serif. What else would we want to do? Let's do font size. Size in here, and let's give it a font size of 16 pixels. And then a line height in here of 20 pixels. Okay, so again, what we're doing is we're sizing how big each of the paragraphs are. So we have our CSS style, we have our HTML that we've added in here, this div tag. Another thing I guess we need to also make sure and do is put in our style.css here so that we're actually able to access it. Now let's go on and actually deal with kind of the main menu of today, and that is actually doing the D3 application of this. So where do we need to go and where do we want to put this is the thing. Okay, so we've already created up all of our elements, but what we're going to be adding in, where do we want to add this in is the question. Where would we want to put it? Well, so we have all of everything is basically already made up, because again, what we have is we have these event handlers, okay, here. So what we need is we need to change some of the functionality that's happening with this mouse over and this mouse out. Okay, so let's start off with the mouse over. And what we want in here is, you know what, let's do it at the top, because this is going to be kind of one of the key features that we have. So we are going to need the position of our mouse, okay, and wherever we're going to be going, we want a specific position that we want that bar to be located at, or not our bar, but our tooltip. Okay, so let's say get the bar's X and Y coordinates, the values. Then we want to augment them for the tooltip. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of math in there with them. Let me give it a little bit of space as well. So we're going to parse it. We want d3.select this, because again, we're wanting to interact with that bar chart itself, the object of the bar, particularly where we are mousing over at. And then we want the attribute here of X. Okay, so when we hover over the top here, we want to know the X coordinate. Okay, so here would be 2021. It's that bin, that bandwidth that we're wanting. Okay, so let's actually do that. So we're grabbing that attribute, and then we're going to add in there the X scale dot bandwidth, and let's divide it by 2. Okay, so what our goal is going to be is, let's say that I hover over this particular bar, and we want it to be kind of like in the center of the bar. Okay, and then also let's do the same thing for the y-axis. Let's say that, so you guys can see where my mouse is. It'll probably pop up somewhere around here, maybe, and maybe with some version of the height. So this one will be higher, then they'll kind of all be a little bit lower. And you'll kind of see once I write out the equation for this. So var y position in here, parse float, again d3.select this. We want the attribute of y. And here we're going to do, let's divide it. We don't actually need to scale it. Let's divide it by 2 plus half the height. Okay, and so this will give it a little bit of downward thrust, so it'll kind of be in the middle there. Let's see. All right, so now we've actually got our X and Y's. So then let's go on and update the tooltip. Okay, specifically the tooltip's position and its value. So d3.select in here, we want, here we are grabbing in our tooltip, okay, and we want in here to adjust the style. So style, left, X position, plus in here PX. Then we'll do the same thing here for the style. And we want this from the top, I believe, yeah, top. And then we'll do Y position plus PX once more. And then let's also go on and select the value, okay? And we want to actually change the text. So that's the text in here of I dot value. So what's happening, okay? If you looked through our previous exercise, we were doing D a lot, dot value and these types of things. Now those were for this D value here contains information pertaining to the mouse position. Okay, now if we want to talk about the data itself, that is this I argument here. Okay, so this value, if we scrolled over the top of this guy, it would be 88 because again, he's at 88 and this one's at 85. Okay, those are the values that we want. We don't necessarily want, I don't know, if this is maybe like position 400 by 200 or something, okay, on the screen when we're looking at the pixels for the X and Y coordinates. So we actually want the value of the data. Now that should give us everything that we want except it's hidden. Okay, so let's go on and we want to select again. We want the tooltip, but this time we want to change the attribute, or well, it's classed, okay? Sorry, it's classed. Before we had it hidden was none. We're going to be hidden is false, okay? And so now if I refresh this, whoops, missed something here. Let's go back and double check. And I think I did something silly for the tooltip here. That's supposed to be G. No. All right, let me double check where I messed up at. So again, as usual, it's usually something boneheaded that I've been doing. And it goes all the way back over here. And again, my guess is you guys were screaming at me. Okay, this needs to change. Okay, it's not script. Again, we just link these. Okay, I've been so enthralled with dealing with JavaScript, I just kind of wrote a script in there. And so let's go on and refresh. And so now we see we have this tooltip, but what's happening, notice, a couple things are happening. One, the value isn't changing, and it's not disappearing whenever I go off. Okay, so those are a couple things that we're going to have to deal with. All right, so let's go back over and let's figure out where we need to make our changes, okay? So we have, first off, let's make it disappear, okay? Because all we're going to be doing here is we're going to take this bad boy and we're going to put it down here and the mouse out. And I want it over. And there's an extra one. And then here it's going to be true. Okay, and that will make sure that our everything will disappear. So let's go on and refresh. So it's here, it's not, it's here, it's not. Good. All right, so let's go on back and let's have a look-see right up here where we actually added in the value. And so let's double check a couple things. All right, I have the ID here of value. Here we are selecting the value, but do we need in here? What do we want? Oh, actually, yeah, that's what I thought, right here, value. So now we actually have our tooltip. As you can see here that each of these is changing now from its perspective. Okay, so this value, bar value is 88, 85, 80, 62, 57, 55. Okay, so now we actually have a tooltip, and again, you guys can change this to have any type of information. For example, if you had another something else besides value, I think we can even maybe mess with that. just a little bit here just to kind of give you an example. Let's change this to year instead of value. So notice now it says bar value, and again it changes to the year. So you can just access any part of the data that you want, or multiple parts of the data for that matter. You can add in multiple sections. So for example, if you have like country values or anything else in there, you can change that. So guys, I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, and definitely hit those like buttons, okay? And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.